Yo, what's up guys, Nanjiroh here, and welcome to part 2 of Ask Nanjiroh. Alright, so this one is actually a lot shorter than the first one, because the first one I think I was talking for almost an hour, but this one should be a lot shorter because I didn't receive as many questions this week. Alright, so all of these questions are actually gonna be from Sakuya from the Fateverse Discord, so shoutouts to him. Alright. Do you think that there will be a new class for Shadowverse? I don't think that there'll be a new class for Shadowverse. I do, however, think that in lieu of new classes, that a lot of classes will instead get like different dimensions of what they can do. Like, for example, every set or so, Dragon gets either 1 or 2 discard cards, and while they seem pretty memey at first, all it takes is for 1 or 2 really good sets that tries to push the discard mechanic in a good way, in order for that to become a viable tertiary option for Dragon. Because right now, Dragon's kind of limited to Storm Ramp, Aggro, and then regular ramp. But like regular ramp and Storm Ramp are kind of more or less the same thing for the most part. But yeah, but that's a good example of what I mean. I don't think that there will be a new class, just because I don't think I've ever seen a card game ever try to like introduce another class out of the blue, just because you have to kind of like restructure and rebalance the entirety of the game. So maybe if we get like a Shadowverse 2, similar to that of how we have Dota 2, then that might be possible. But I don't think that will happen unless again something like that happens. Do I think the Shadowverse will someday deteriorate to the state of Hearthstone, in the sense that both the awful player base and then to the card design. Alright, so for me, I did actually play Hearthstone a little bit, not for too long. I think I played for like a little bit over a year, something like that. So I think I played from Whispers of the Old Gods to Gadget Zan. But yeah, I think that for the most part, a lot of gaming forums for a lot of games, like for example League of Legends, Hearthstone, Shadowverse, they're all kind of terrible, but not because of any like fault of their own. I mean, yes, they are partially to blame. However, I think that a large part of why you might see like terrible player bases is because of the forums that you most likely see these people in. Reddit is a pretty good place if you wanna like, I guess, collect information and whatnot on the latest happenings. Like for example, it's where you go if you want to see like nerf changes like semi immediately, because generally you're not going to hear about it from the news panel that's like inside the Shadowverse client. You're usually going to hear about it from someone who heard about it from Reddit. However, the moderation is kind of lackluster, and there's a lot of things that you see in Reddit and Reddit like subreddits and whatnot that you wouldn't actually see in other forums. Like for example, for me, when I used to play Yu-Gi-Oh! As well as Magic the Gathering, and even Pokemon actually, not the TCG, the like handheld version with the Game Boys and whatnot. But for me, those forums were actually really nice because they had very, very strict like life coach style moderators, in which they didn't really take any shit, and you had to actually have like constructive feedback. It couldn't just be, oh, why is X card broken? I can't do anything about it. Baby rage, like fuck this game, all that. No, like there would actually be like constructive criticism, and not so much in the style of the 101 plus, oh, here's how I would redesign this card. Now it would be in the sense of, okay, well, strictly on deck building, as well as theory crafting with your deck and other stuff. The actual like productive meat and potato style discussion that you would actually come to expect in card games, and that's something that I really liked about those things. I don't think that Shadowverse as a game, at least in their forms, will get any better until we get to that until we get like that kind of form. Like for example, I know for Yu-Gi-Oh, one of the bigger Yu-Gi-Oh sites is Alter Reality Games, and they have a lot of like and they have a lot of good feedback. There is also Duelist Grounds, which again is another good one. And then for Pokemon, there's also Smogon. Smogon was also really good because you couldn't have any one-liners, couldn't have any just random shit posts. Like it had to all be constructive and it had to all be about the game. All right, and then for the card design. All right, so for Hearthstone card design, Hearthstone card design is kind of in a weird spot. Like it's all right. So part of why the card design seems so bad is because the developers that have a strong fixation on the whole aspect of things being random and wacky because that seems fun. It's not fun for me to lose a game on a coin flip, but that's something we can talk about on a later date. And I think for Shadowverse, I don't think that Shadowverse is really going to go down that way in terms of card design because for the most part, there's only ever a handful of like random of like cards that have like random targeted effects per expansion. It's not like Hearthstone in which like 90% of the cards are all deal something to a random target or add a random spell to your hand or anything like that. Like a big frustration for people who played HS is that you could legitimately lose games to cards that weren't even in your opponent's deck and or class to begin with. Like for example, losing one thing that was pretty funny, and well, I mean I say funny, but it's probably like pretty rage infuriating is that as Warlock and Gadgetzan, you could legitimately lose while you're in Jiraxis because your opponent drew the one card that doesn't even that only exists in Warlock that can just auto kill Jiraxis, which is like it's a one in a and it's like a one it feels the reason why that's frustrating is because it's a 1 in a million and it doesn't even exist in your opponent's deck. Like it wasn't like your opponent decided to, oh hey, I'm gonna include this one card that is straight up just like 1v1s Lord Jiraxis and whatnot. Yeah, but Shadowverse doesn't really have cards like that. For the most part, most of the cards in Shadowverse you can play around. Even stuff like Aegis, you can play around that. Like, is it gonna be easy? Maybe not, but you can still definitely do it. But yeah, we I think as a whole, yes, to some degree, you can kind of deteriorate to that state, but as long as we have like good content creators and good people bringing like good publicity to the game, I don't think it will ever get that bad. As well as if we get like a different or better moderated forum for discussing the game. All right. Describe me, sorry, yourself, Kiri, Gakba, Gumi, and then Suzoni. Or sorry, Suzzoni, and as well as Luna with the Shadowverse character. All right, for this one, I'm not actually gonna go in order just because I think I kind of want to do myself last. So I'll just go ahead and start with Saria. All right, so Saria to me, if he was to be a Shadowverse character, it would 100% be Albert, because I don't know. I feel like that card was like made for Saria in the sense that I've never seen anyone have double Albert by turn 5/6 as consistently as I've seen Saria do it. It's actually insane. Like I remember when I first started watching Saria too, and a lot of times he would like fuck up Miss Lethal and then like top deck Albert later and be like, ah, well. And it's always really funny just because, well, it's Saria, and Saria kind of has that like magic way of like getting excited that like makes you like also want to get excited too, even if you misplayed, just because like it's like a good time, everyone's enjoying themselves, and it just it's like feel good vibes basically. All right, for Sakuya, I think if I were I think if I were to characterize you as a card, I think I think I would probably characterize you as Death's Breath, just because in the sense that you, along with Kiri, as along with Luna, kind of make up the trio of shadow experts in our Discord, and that's pretty cool. The other card that you would get is I kind of want to give you Shadow Reaper, but Shadow Reaper kind of also just got nerfed. So I think the other card that I'll probably give you is I'll probably give you Atomy actually, just because it's a pretty funny card and you're a pretty funny person. And I know that seems kind of lame, but it's still kind of true. And a big thing for me about you is that like your criticisms and whatnot, they help me like make these videos better. And yeah, so good job on you, and keep up the good work, helping me, keep making these videos. For Kiri, all right, so for Kiri again, part of the Death Breath trio. However, for Kiri, I think I would probably make his card Dark Alice, or actually maybe Pluto. The reason why I'm kind of split on these two is because like Pluto was Kiri's like love affair last season, and when she made his like Pluto montage, and had all these spicy clips that I made of him just like beating dragons with it because they would go ahead and like slam down Bahamut, and then Kiri would go ahead and Pluto it, so he had a 14-14 Pluto, and then the dragon player wouldn't have an answer, and then they would just concede out of shame. And then Dark Alice, because for this expansion, Kiri is super excited about Dark Alice and has been playing around with it a lot. And then honorable mention to Corpse Lord of Woe, because Kiri played around with that yesterday in a stream, and that was pretty funny. For Gakba, this one's actually really easy, and I actually enjoyed that I got this one. Is for him, his card would 100% be Sun Oracle Pascal. Now you might be saying, why Pascal? However, I'm pretty sure that when Gakba actually like listens to this, he'll understand perfectly, because Pascal is a card that I've seen Gakba try to play for like 6 months now, and and it almost never works. But part of what's so funny, and I can laugh about it, is because Gakba's one of those people that he gets excited about cards in a way that, or sorry, like he gets excited, and also some of the ways that he says these things, and he does it like it just makes him seem a lot funny, or sorry, seem pretty funny, even if the card seems terrible. Like for example, I know this expansion he's also been working on Abomination, and he had me test a deck with him using that, which I think I'll go ahead and show in a later video. But yeah, it's Gak was just a pretty funny person, and as a result, I decided that I was gonna like pick his funniest card for him. For Gumi's card is actually also really easy. Gumi's card is actually Beast Dominator, aka Breast Dominator, aka Boobs Dominator, etc. Just because I've seen Gumi describe herself as this on numerous occasions, and to be honest, I feel like the running joke right now is that whenever you pull a Boobs Dominator, that you immediately just tag Gumi in it, and she's like, "Hey, I just pulled you in a card," and then everyone has some laughs, and it's pretty funny. For Suzuki, his card is actually going to be Elf Queen, just because I know for a while he was debating on what he was going to use his Sears Globe on, and he was deciding on Elf Queen for a while. And Elf Queen is one of the few cards that actually have animated. And every time I look at it, I'm like, oh, like I have the card that Suzuki wants. which is actually pretty funny because he actually has an animated Sybil, and I don't have any animated Sybil, so it's like so Karma kind of got me back on that one. And then lastly for Luna, I think I would pick. All right, so initially I wanted to pick Zombie because again, every time Luna has like brought this up and like the Discord and whatnot, she'll go ahead and reference herself as a zombie. However, I think mm, however, I think what I want her card to be might be Alice the Prodigal Explorer, I think it's called. Not sure. Just because I don't think I've ever really seen like Luna like show up and chat with us and have her be like upset or anything like that. She's usually pretty bright-eyed and bushy-tailed sort of, kind of like how I would expect Alice to be if Alice was like an actual like IRL character. And then for the next one, when are you going to have a collab stream with Saria? Now, as you might not know this, however, I've Kiri is a streamer, and Saizo is a streamer, and I've done collaborations with the two of them, but I haven't actually done a collaboration with Saria. And for the Disney collaboration, that was more so of just a collaboration on a video, not like anything, not like an actual streamer or anything like that. For Saria, I don't know exactly when I would go ahead and do it. I think for the most part, he just needs to ask me, and I'll just go ahead and do it. But because I usually try not to invite myself onto people's streams, just because, well, it's pretty invasive. But I think for Saria, I'd probably have a pretty funny time with him, just because I don't know, like sorry, it's just my dude. Like I've been hanging out with him for like 6 months, and I don't know, like it feels like we're brothers almost. But yeah, but, but yeah, he just needs to ask, and then we can do a collab stream. Although it would have to be like a short collab stream, I think, just because sorry streams for a super long amount of time sometimes, and I'm not always gonna have the strength to stay awake the entire time. Like I remember when I first started watching Saria streams, like there were some days where you could literally where I could wake up, he'd stream, and I'd fall asleep to him still being in the same stream. But yeah. Next question. What is the name of our sixth expansion? To be honest, I actually don't really know. For me, I want to say that's going to be something kind of mellow, but not quite super mellow, and that's going to be like leading up to something again. Because all right, so in order so far of our pack of our sets, we've had Standard, Darkness Evolved, Rise of Bahamut, Tempest of the Gods, and then Wonderland Dreams. And this kind of followed a pattern of nothing, kind of eventful, still kind of eventful, full on assault, and then kind of like leading story wise. So I think that because of that, as well as the fact that our next set is going to be the last set before the end of the year, that it'll probably be something like, well, for me personally, if I had to name it, I think I'd probably name it like Dragon's Ascension or something crazy like that, and it would be like a dragon themed set. But that's just because I'm a dragon fanboy. So, all right, and then the second to last question for this week is, why are you so cool? To be honest, I actually did not know how I was going to answer this question as well, just because I don't really see myself as cool per se. For the most part, I'm just kind of, well, me. I although I do think a reason why people might see me as cool is just because of the fact that I don't really get tilted. I'm usually pretty informative, and I usually try to help out people as much as I humanly can. And then also some of my antics, I guess, are pretty funny. Like for example, I don't say this to brag. I kind of say this because it's already kind of happened. But in one of my first collab streams with Kiri, I actually fell asleep in his stream and was asleep for like 4 hours. And apparently people found that amusing because Kiri's dad was also asleep and was also snoring. And and Kiri tried to bail me out by saying that his dad was snoring because his dad was snoring, but I was snoring as well. And then chat realized that was me, and they were like they were like Dan's game. Why is this guy? Why does this guy fall asleep? So I think people find like stuff just the general stuff like me falling asleep and whatnot pretty funny because I know a few times during anime night, which is something that we do every Saturday, that a lot of people actually take bets on whether or not I'll fall asleep during the anime. Because for like I think 3 or 4 no I think either 2 or 3 weeks in a row, yeah, I kind of like all right, I was able to stay awake until like episode 7/8, and after that I just kind of checked out, just fell asleep, and it was just bad. Um, Thankfully though, I do make sure to keep my mic muted just so that this doesn't happen, or just so that like if this does happen, people don't like realize that oh he fell asleep, and I don't want to like ruin people's experience by like snoring in the mic, but yeah. And then the last question, even though it's not on here this week because I kind of forgot to add it, is a question from Sisney who saw these and of course had to add his own brand of flavor. What color underwear are you wearing? I'm not going to answer that question, but in exchange, I will give you another question. Boxers or briefs? And the answer is or sorry, not and the answer is briefs. I think is it briefs? No, boxers. Sorry about that. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed week 2 of Ask Nanjiroh. I do want to do week 3, hopefully next Friday, but it seems like this might be a Saturday type thing because I keep kind of forgetting to record on Friday. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Leave if you guys have a question of something you might want me to answer in an Ask Nanjiroh section, in an Ask Nanjiroh segment, go ahead and leave it down in the comments below. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time.